Have you ever wondered, was that my intuition or was that just my mind? It's one of the biggest challenges for spiritual seekers, healers, and anyone going deeper with exploring their intuitive gifts. But here's the truth. Intuition has a signature and your mind has a pattern. And once you learn the difference, everything gets clearer. Today, I'm going to share 3 simple tips that will help you instantly recognize true intuitive guidance. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Sarah Bell, modern medicine woman, activator of lightworkers, and the creator of Crystal Wisdom Codes. And this topic, intuition versus the mind, is something that I get asked about all the time. And it matters, especially for practitioners and for healers, because you rely on intuition not only for your own guidance, but even for others as well when it comes to working with clients. And so learning to discern the difference, it's not just helpful, it's actually essential, right? And so I have 3 tests and I want to share these with you because they can really help you to start to discern the differences between your intuition and your mind and help you to get clearer and strengthen your intuitive muscle. So the first one is the body test. The body never lies. So test 1 is the body test. So intuition speaks through the body, whereas the mind speaks through thought. And so the first and perhaps most reliable test involves tuning into your physical body and building a connection to sensation or the felt sense. And so intuition, when it lands, it's felt in the body. It might be felt in your gut. You might have this certain tingly feeling that arrives in your gut. It might be in your heart. You might feel this sort of expansion. It might be a full body energy shift or like tingles in your legs. And so everyone is a little bit different, but it often is a very grounded feeling. It often is calming. And even though the message might be not something that you want to hear, the sensation usually, it isn't jarring. It's a peaceful sensation. It's arriving to you as like a tingle or a subtle sensation that's letting you know that there's truth or resonance with what it is that's coming through. Whereas when it's your mind, you tend to go up into your head. And so in this place of thinking or analyzing or often looping. And so it might feel dramatic. It might feel exciting, and it also might feel pressured. A lot of times the mind can create this sort of pressure. And so it often lacks this embodied anchor or sensation. It's more of a zipping or thinking in the mind. And so true intuition comes with this distinct physical sensation or sensations. And when you receive an intuitive hit, pause and notice, where do you feel it in your body? And how does it feel? And so genuine intuition typically manifests as this knowing, this sensation that arrives to you throughout your body. And it's up to you to really explore that and figure out how that arrives to you specifically and what that feels like in your body. But again, it's often grounding, peaceful, calming, even if the message itself might be challenging. Whereas the mind, on the other hand, it's like keeping you in your head. And so if you are thinking about something rather than feeling it, or in that place of analysis rather than those subtle sensations, chances are the mind might be at work. And so try this. Next time you think you're receiving intuitive guidance, close your eyes, scan your body from your head to your toes, and where is the information actually coming from? You can ask yourself, where is the information actually coming from? And the more you practice this body awareness, the clearer the distinction becomes. And so if it's the body, chances are this is your intuition talking. And if it's mostly mental chatter, it's the mind. And so this alone can start to shift everything. Let's move on to test number 2, which is the ego check or the agenda test. And so intuition has no agenda. Your intuition is connected to your higher levels, your higher self, your soul self that already knows what is best for you. And it has this way of guiding you and leading you from a place of true organic expansion and what is in the best benefit for your soul growth. And so it's arriving to you, bringing you these nudges of your soul, but it doesn't have an agenda like in the 3D world, in the personality matrix. And you can also think of it as your intuition connected with soul and mind connected with ego or personality. And so these are often dueling forces. And so getting to know how they duel, right? How they show up together and even pit against each other is part of this discernment process. And so intuition has no agenda, and the mind always has an agenda. It always has some kind of angle or some kind of agenda. And so intuition usually feels neutral. It might create this, you might have this reaction to it because it's bringing you to your growth edge, but it actually is neutral. It doesn't need to be right. It's not going to be domineering. It doesn't tell you what it wants to hear. It's just nudging you gently beyond your comfort zone. Whereas the mind is it's actually connected to safety and trying to keep you safe. And so it's going to come with more control. It wants to control the outcome. It wants to confirm what you already want, right? It's like appeasing itself. It also wants to avoid discomfort. It wants to keep you safe. So it keeps you from expanding. It keeps you from growth. And so it's going to seek to avoid discomfort. And it'll often try to convince you or persuade you of certain things. It has an agenda. And so it also is seeking validation. Because it's seeking safety, it's seeking the known, whereas intuition is often working in the unknown and expanding you beyond your comfort zone because it's expanding you into your soul's highest trajectory, your highest purpose, your highest mission for why you are here. And so this is a really big one because it can be a real leap of faith to trust our intuition when our mind is calling us to safety and calling and like even controlling or forcing us to stay small. And so this second test involves you checking also your emotional attachment to the outcome. And so you can ask yourself, am I emotionally invested in this guidance being true? Am I emotionally invested in this guidance being true? That's a really grounding question that can help you discern whether you're receiving information from the mind or your intuition. Genuine intuition comes with a sense of neutrality. It doesn't need to be right, and it doesn't always tell you what you want to hear. In fact, it frequently challenges you to grow beyond your comfort zone. So the mind, it's especially fueled by ego, and so it's always wanting to confirm what you believe. And it feels good to validate your desires, right? So the mind is rarely asking you to face difficult growth edges or difficult truths. And so consider this. Ask yourself, if the message said the opposite, how would I feel? And if you'd be upset or disappointed or attached to being right, the mind is involved. If you feel neutral or aware or simply clear, that's intuition. Also, if you feel that information is expanding you beyond your comfort zone, that's often intuition. Okay, let's move on to test 3, which is the persistence pattern or the longevity test. And so intuition is consistent. It's often repetitive, and it will come back again and again and again with these subtle messages, whereas the mind can be like looping. It can just keep like looping and playing the same track. And so intuition, it returns with this gentleness. It's a gentleness, and it will come back over days, over weeks, over months, and it's often the same message. It has the same direction, and it is showing up even through synchronicity a lot of times. And so it might arrive to you through different channels or different pathways where you talk with someone and then there is that thing again, there is that message again. Or, you're with your family or you're out in nature and you see a spirit message from an animal that feels really significant and you look it up and there's that little thing again, that guidepost. And so intuition has these little guideposts or these ways of speaking to us, and the information will arrive over and over again in different ways through different pathways. And so this is how it sort of reinforces itself through signs. It can also come in your dreams, right? That can be another pathway that this information is returning to you. Or it can just be, like I said, in complete synchronicity through the most random things, like even movies, right? Your TV, or you could be watching the news and something will arrive to you and there that message is again. Whereas the mind, it tends to repeat rapidly. It tends to change the narrative. It tends to get really loud and domineering, and it can even feel a little urgent. And it can also feel a little like frantic or like hyper controlling. And it tends to disappear whenever it's challenged. And so this third test is about consistency over time. Intuitive guidance tends to be persistent, and it doesn't usually come as this one-time flash and then disappear forever. If something's truly like intuitive information that's arriving to you, it likely returns, and it usually is in different forms, different channels, but with the same core message. And so again, it might come through all these different pathways and channels, but then, and even physical signs in your environment, right? And it tends to be gentle but persistent, whereas the mind can be shifting, it can be changing, it can vary in intensity, and it can also fade or transform, and it can even turn into something else when it's examined later. It can have these like shifting narratives. And so really practice patience with this test, because you need to sort of almost give it time, right, to reveal that persistent pattern, or to reveal if that's just a passing thought, or to reveal the quality of the frequency that surrounds it. And so the universe tends to be persistent when there's something important that we need to understand. And so if the guidance keeps returning with this same quiet clarity, it's probably intuition. And if it shifts shape, if it gets loud, if it gets pressured, that's the mind. And so you have to give it time. Intuition is patient, it's gentle, it's soft, it's consistent, and the mind is impulsive. It can be erratic, it can be intense, it can be domineering. And so those are the three tests. And there is a bonus insight here. And this is kind of leading me into the next thing that I want to say. And that is intuition is often quiet, whereas the mind is often loud. It is often this noisy storyteller, or this like drill sergeant. It can be a hyper, like a critic, a drama queen, right? The mind can be really, it can override your intuition. In fact, it often does. And so we have to start to learn how to sort of put it in its place. And it takes a lot of faith to follow our intuition, because it is quiet, it is gentle. It's usually the intuition kind of reveals over time, whereas the mind tends to like persuade or dominate. And the intuition is always like guiding. It's always bringing you invitations, gentle nudges, right? It's not pushy. It's not loud. It's not domineering. It's this like gentle, quiet voice that's guiding you. And the mind, it's wanting to protect you. It has a role. It's not, the mind is not bad. It's easy to kind of, when we start learning about intuition and developing our intuition, it's easy to sort of make the mind like the bad cop or the bad one, and want to like sort of dismiss the mind. But the mind has obviously a very important role in our makeup, in our the role in our 3D reality, right? It does protect us, and it does help keep us safe. But it often is using logic, and it's often trying to rationalize everything and make sense of everything from a logic perspective. And oftentimes our best decisions are made with a combination of intuition and logic or mind. And I failed to really talk about logic earlier, but the mind uses logic where things make sense. And intuition often doesn't make sense. It rarely makes sense, which is why it's so hard to take that leap of faith and trust the intuition. And so when you're in doubt, you can ask yourself, is this a knowing or is there a narrative here? Is this coming from just a simple knowing, or is this a story? Is there like a story being woven? Is there a narrative here? And that question alone can start to shift how you understand your intuition and your mind. So remember, developing discernment between intuition and the mind, it's a practice. It's not a perfect science. And even the most experienced practitioners sometimes get it wrong. And so it's important to be gentle with the process and with your process of self-discovery, right? Because this is all taking you deeper into your own inner landscape, your inner dialogue, to start to discern the difference between the intuition and the mind. And so these 3 tests, which are checking the body test, checking your body's response, checking your emotional attachment, right? The ego test, checking the patterns of persistence, the longevity test, and you can use these to start to create a framework that can help you to build confidence in your intuition over time, confidence in recognizing your intuition. And the more you practice, the clearer that distinction becomes. And so here's something beautiful to remember, that even when you are unsure, the very act of questioning with awareness is actually strengthening your intuitive muscle. And so I would love to hear from you. If this resonated with you, hit the like and subscribe for more teachings on intuition, crystals, and multidimensional living. And I invite you to drop a comment below and share which of these tests do you find most helpful? Will you use these tests? And also share any questions that you might have about developing your intuition. Until next time, trust the wisdom within you. It's always there. It's waiting to be heard. It's just you knowing you and being able to develop that discernment. If you're ready to deepen your intuition, open your channel, and learn to work with crystals as conscious allies, my signature program, Crystal Wisdom Codes, is for you. It's a 4-month shamanic crystal mentorship that's designed to help you awaken your intuitive gifts and expand your connection with your stones and step into your next level soul path, and even become certified as a Crystal Wisdom Codes practitioner, sharing the insights of the stones with others. And so you can join the waitlist. There's a link below. So when you do join the waitlist, you get early access, you get special bonuses that are only reserved for those on the waitlist. And you'll also be the first to learn when the program opens again. So check it out. And if your intuition is nudging you, follow it.